Tanya.
Hey, how's it going everyone? This is the Anime Man. And holy shit, did I make it in time, guys? I was only a few weeks away from making this into yet another double seasonal roundup, but I think I just managed to get this out in time. Because that's right, it's time for another episode of Joey's seasonal anime roundup, this time covering the year's opening lineup known as the Winter 2017 anime season. For those of you who are new, this is a show where I make short and concise anime reviews and analysis on the shows I watched or dropped during that particular season of anime. Sometimes I choose to not go in depth with these reviews since I want to dedicate entire videos to some of them, so think of these as bite-sized reviews. Also because if I made whole reviews on all the anime I watch, these videos would be like 20 hours long, and fucked if I'm gonna edit that much for you guys. Keep in mind these are my thoughts on these shows, and it's all about discussion and conversation here, so let me know what you guys think about anything I say in this video in the comments below. Without further ado, let's begin. Masamune-kun no Revenge. I love watching revenge stories. It's literally my favorite types of stories for a number of reasons, from the psychological warfare to the interesting developments of characters and their interactions with one another. And Masamune-kun no Revenge seemed to be like one of those anime. Fat guy loses weight and changes his life around to run into childhood friend who denied him once, and now it's his turn to kick her off the pedestal. Sounds great, right? Yeah, sounds great. Characters getting killed off a show purely for shock value is something that pisses me off to no end, but something that pisses me off even more is when a character is spiritually killed off a show. Like, you know, when an established personality gets destroyed and torn apart purely to advance the show's plot. And this anime does this in multiple ways. I actually really like Masamune's strong-willed personality. Is he a cocky bastard? Hell yeah. But it's honestly a breath of fresh air to see a more confident protagonist rather than the stereotypical, I'm almost an adult and I still don't know what a vagina is kind of dense, unrealistic motherfucker. But then we have characters like Aragaki Aki, a stuck-up hardshell pompous bitch who shows how fucking easy it is to destroy its own character by falling in love with Masamune in a matter of episodes purely to advance the overall goal of the anime, that being Masamune's revenge. Like, seriously? I would have loved to have seen more psychological warfare between Aragaki and Masamune, instead of this otherwise one-sided brainwashing NTR bullshit that is pushed along by Koiwa Yoshino, aka the big plotted lolly with the most inconsistent personality I've ever fucking seen. Seriously, what the fuck even is she? There's two face characters, and then there's just plot convenience characters. You may be cute, but you ain't fooling my elitist virginity. It's such a shame too, considering the art and animation from Silverlink Studios is definitely something worth crediting. And the almost satirical take on shoujo manga and romance anime tropes made for some genuinely hilarious instances for those who know such tropes like the back of their yaoi hands. But if the final episode ends in a motherfucking karaoke scene, you can suck my Japanese balls. Watching this anime was like eating an entire tub of ice cream. It starts off sweet, tasteful, and satisfying, but then it just turns gross and makes you want to throw it all back up. How fitting that I make an ice cream joke on a show like this. You'd like some of that, wouldn't you, you fat fuck? 3月のライオン. Let's clear up a few misconceptions that I saw from other reviews about this anime. Firstly, it is not a slice of life anime. While it has slice of life elements, March Comes In Like a Lion is a hardcore drama. Even if shogi may not have the same intensity as baseball or basketball or swimming, comparing this anime to the realms of Acchi Kocchi and A-Team is really unfair. As much as I love these lollies, let's leave them for another day. Secondly, you really don't have to be interested in shogi to get or like this show. In fact, you could replace it with literally any sport and the anime would still make sense. That's because March Comes In Like a Lion is a powerful tale of the struggles of success. It's an emotional and psychological piece that deals with our main protagonist, Kiriyama Rei, who constantly struggles with this internal fight of either chasing after his dreams and the burden that this dream chasing creates for everyone else, which as we see in the show also builds a sense of guilt and burden with himself as well. The show manages to construct a deep psychological war between rivals of a similar war zone, and how in order to better oneself you must first change perspectives on others, which is something that anybody can relate to at all sorts of different levels. I have so much to say and praise about this anime that I could actually dedicate an entire video to it. Hell, I could even make a video purely on the opening episode alone as to why it's the most beautiful and genius way of establishing a character I've seen in anime. Because without a sliver of doubt, I believe this show is a true 10 out of 10 for me. If you can get past the heavy dialogue-centered storytelling and the rather slow pacing of the show, the core message of this show will literally change your life. Or, you know, you could watch this show for its gorgeous visuals and sound, its light-hearted comedy elements, and more. Because, I mean, just listen to her talk. Oh my god, I think I just shat my sensitive little heart out of my ass from that adorableness. Oh, and also because it's done by a shaft. I love you, Shimbo. Mwah. Fuuka. Fuck, she's cute, but Jesus Christ, this shit is boring. Is what I would say about this show if I only had 10 words to sum it up. But I don't, so let's continue. Having heard the original manga series was kinda known as a hidden classic amongst its fans, and me being a music nerd at heart who was super into shows like Beck and Nana, I thought I would really get into this show. But nope, the anime gods have forsaken me once again. Hashtag stop making shitty adaptations. The first episode is literally the most pointless and uneventful opening episode I have ever seen to such a cliche romance story. And honestly doesn't even remotely hint at the fact that this series is music themed. Hold on, let me move these giant headphones that I bought because I love listening to music and singing to pass the time of me not knowing what I want to do with my life.
Really, nigga?
The main character's inconsistent and annoying as shit. Like, he's the butt of every forced drama joke within an already ridiculous and unnecessary love triangle. Fuuka, my girl. This cunt is useless. Why the fuck are you falling in love with him so easily? You're giving a false hope to every Twitter-obsessed douchebag on the internet. No! Bad sell, Koji. Stop toying with an otaku's heart. Honestly, after having watched so many other romance stories and watching more superior shows in its genre in conjunction to this show, I found it so boring to sit through it all. Don't get me wrong, the music sprawled throughout is nice to listen to, and Fuuka is definitely best girl in the show, as if her character design isn't already fucking apparent. But when you have an aggravatingly one-dimensional main character with an equally mundane and mediocre cast of supporting characters that do jack shit with minimal effort, it just feels like you're sitting through a romance chick flick with your girlfriend who forced you to come along for commitment purposes. And coming from a taken man myself, that's scarier than any scene from Higurashi. I mean, look, if cliche romance stories are your thing, then you'll probably enjoy this show a lot. It's a simple concept presented in a very simple way. But if you're looking for something completely different in the romance genre, it's probably best to skip over this one. Kuzu no Honkai. I like to confess that I'm quite a fucked up individual. It seems I have a knack for stories that make me want to hate every single character in it, especially those characters that deserve to get all the hate directed towards them. Kuzu no Honkai was one of those shows this season, and I fucking loved it. I find this show seemed to get a lot of hate from people saying, I hated this show because all the characters suck and they're all terrible people. Like, dude, what the fuck did you expect from an anime called Scum's Wish? That's like going to a cemetery and being like, I'm sure everyone is really happy here. While the two main characters established themselves just within the first episode, it oddly didn't seem rushed in any way. He was like, yo, you DTF? And she was like, yeah fam, but only if you pretend to be my non-blood related brother. And he was like, that's kind of weird, but okay. And within 12 episodes, this anime managed to get us to fucking hate every single character it introduced. But for the right reasons. While there was a core-focused couple in the story, the anime managed to explore the psyche of all characters introduced through a series of flashbacks and monologues, which some can argue is probably not the best way to do so, yet still made every character have some level of importance to the progression of the story and characters. While some people criticize the show for having character motives which are hypocritical to their original structure, I think that's exactly what the point was. To explore the fragile nature of using short-handed lust to fill the void of an unrequited and pure romance, and the journey these people from all walks of life took to realize their faults and fake perceptions of true romance. Or, you know, you can just see it as a softcore hentai too, that's cool I guess. While some motifs and character dynamics dragged out for a little bit too long in some episodes, it managed to neatly tie all the loose strings at the end with what many people see as an unhappy ending. But hey, at least we got boobs, right? Look at that boob. That's a nice boob. That's all the modern anime community cares about, right? In all seriousness though, I think Kuzu no Honkai was one of the best romance anime I've seen in a very long time, but not for the same reasons as other romance anime I've enjoyed in the past. I feel this anime falls into the same realm as shows like Aku no Hana and Oyasumi Pun Pun. Stories that show the beauty of ugly sides of life and aren't afraid to tackle pure concepts like high school romance in more realistic and dark tones that none of us Puritans want to admit exist. This is definitely not a show for everyone. If you can't handle fucked up stupid people doing fucked up stupid things, then you probably won't enjoy this show. Nonetheless, I think it was a really interesting, dark, and beautifully ugly take on the romance genre, and I absolutely loved it. But seriously, what the fuck was the point of this guy, and why does he weirdly look like me? Get out of here. KonoSuba Season 2. Having had the amazing opportunity to interview the author of KonoSuba himself, Akatsuki Natsume, I got to have a lot of cool insight into the KonoSuba series that a lot of people who watched the anime or read the light novel didn't really get exposed exposed to. But that honestly won't stop you from enjoying this hilarious and cleverly created satire on the oversaturated RPG world reincarnation genre of anime we've been so accustomed to over the years, and it's something I wish was more dead of a trend than fidget spinners are on YouTube. I reviewed the first season of the anime a while back, and while this second season has less episodes than the first, it is just as much comedy packed into itself that won't leave fans of the first season disappointed. The perfect comedic timing and animation done by Studio Dean mirrors the equally hilarious and personable dialogue presented by each of the characters, with new characters introduced in this season having just as much love, care, and screen time put into them to make them all just as memorable as the last. There's not much to say about the second season if you're familiar with the first season, since you're gonna get exactly what you expect a KonoSuba sequel to be like. If you decide to take that as a positive or a negative, it's totally your prerogative. But I for one thoroughly enjoyed the second season and can only hope for a possible third season sometime soon. Also, Megumin is still best girl. Demi-chan wa Kataritai. I had a strong interest about this anime ever since I picked up the original manga series not too long ago. Even though I pretty much knew what exactly to expect from this manga, and having seen that compared to the original source material, the art style choice wasn't exactly sucking the mangaka's dick in terms of faithfulness. But I still managed to get exactly what I got in this anime adaptation. And honestly, I couldn't really complain about it. Interviews with Monster Girls doesn't have a whole lot going in terms of exciting story, gripping action, or powerful romance. Unless you think a possible DILF interest in a bunch of high school girls representing mythical creatures is something that will get your blood boiling and your bone arising, in which case, what the fuck is wrong with you? This is an anime that is very chill, very low-key, and is a series that, regardless of whether you like slice of life or not, will just simply get you in a warm and fuzzy mood. The show managed to add a nice underlying tone of juxtaposition between monster girls and human nature, while also not forgetting to cock tease us with romance and moe moe kawaii-ness, yo! It's kinda difficult to criticize a series that honestly doesn't offer a whole lot to criticize in the first place. Let alone, the show does a good job to quickly tie in all the characters together as a unit, rather than a choice of potential individual waifus in different possible routes of a visual novel-like story. As long as you can get past the fact that the main character is a teacher in his bold age of 30 whatever the fuck, who indirectly and unintentionally sexually harasses teenage monster girls without you calling the CPS on the creator of the show, then I think it's a series you'll thoroughly enjoy. Also, Machi's best girl, Kobayashi's Dragon Maid. Oh, I'm sorry, did somebody say a best girl? Because welcome to Best Girl the Anime! Why have big tits but lose all the moe elements in the process when you can have a lolly girl but just give her thick thighs instead? Bet you didn't see that coming, dumb boru. Oh, you did. Shit. So why does every person and their mother love this anime? Besides the obvious. Well, for one, it's done by Kyoto Animation, who this time made an anime that didn't suck! I've always seen Kyoto Animation as being the leading pioneers when it comes to heartwarming and hilarious slice-of-life styled anime, as we've seen in timeless examples like Nichijou, Tamako Market, Lucky Star, and K-On!, just to name a few. I feel Kobayashi's Dragon Maid seemed like the anime that gave the studio space to fully flesh out and polish their years of perfecting their techniques on a concept so simple yet so effective. While the art style and narrative elements may seem a bit too moe-ish for some people, as it honestly did with me when I first heard about the series, that worry diminishes pretty quickly as the anime makes you feel almost unashamed that you're watching something that elitists might otherwise label as plebeian, whatever the fuck that means. Vivid animation, unique character styles and characteristics, genuinely hilarious jokes, and an underlying warm yet serious tone that shifts to and from the comedic and kawaii moe bits so effortlessly that you sometimes forget whether to laugh, whether to sympathize, or whether to let out your biggest "oh," like you just witnessed a box of kittens suddenly materialize in front of your eyes. Or watching Kanna napping, that's just as effective. Youjo Senki. To be honest, when I first saw the concepts for this anime, I was like, so this is a military anime where we get to see a psychopathic youngire lolly be a fucking badass in what looks like a horrific hybrid of Harry Potter and Saving Private Ryan? Count me the fuck in! And well, as much as I love that I'm gonna fuck you in the ass with my tiny fists of fury look Tanya gives every now and then to satisfy the thirsty lolly lovers who can't get enough of best girl, Youjo Senki sadly fell through this season as yet another anime with potential but unable to live up to that expectation in presentation. I felt the main problem with the anime was the direction it decided to plow its story through. Instead of using the underlying goal of Tanya wanting to commit deicide, aka beat the shit out of the one guy guy that gave him new life, it just felt like we were watching an uphill battle of Tanya trying to be better than God in every way possible. I feel this constant disappointment of Tanya's abilities against the almighty omnipotent power of God was repeated to the point where I could see what was coming before it even got there. That coupled with the shoehorned excuse of, if you don't pray to Jesus-kun, you won't get powers, lol, thanks for the donation to the church, fam! And the large use of military speak that seemed to go on for as long as the fucking 100 Years War itself just made Youjo Senki a little bit too unbearable for me at some parts. But me being a viewer of anime who is used to extremely dialogue-heavy series, I didn't hate it as much as I should have. In fact, I didn't even think the whole episode 1 and episode 2 should have been switched criticism that I saw from everyone was all that necessary, based on how vague and top-layered they decided to cover Tanya's past to where she was at the start of episode 1. I mean, sure, on a plot level, there were a lot of confusing parts in both episodes, but I feel that was only a small flaw in a list of larger overall flaws in the story. Apparently, the original light novel is nothing like the anime, so maybe it's worth going through that if you're still on the fence about this anime. Dropped. Handshakers. How can something look so beautiful, yet at the same time be horrifyingly disgusting to look at? If you answered Higurashi, then yes, you're technically correct. But Handshakers is on a whole other level of disgusting. Namely the visuals, courtesy of the geniuses over at Gohan Studios who gave us such classics as K Project. Or as I like to call it, how many titles can we mash the letter K into? The anime. I feel the studio had about 60 different teams working independently from each other when making this anime. Because at one point the anime goes in one direction and the next frame becomes a completely different fucking anime, like somebody just accidentally stepped on the TV remote at the perfect timing. Don't get me wrong, I'm all for interesting plots and unique visuals in my anime, but if your main plot gimmick is that if the main character lets go of his waifu's hand, she just drops dead, then I'm sorry dude, but you just gave yourself the piece of shit status. Not only is the story inconsistent as fuck, but it's also just ridiculous in every possible way. Character motives don't make sense, rivalries are created from actually nothing, action scenes don't physically make any sense whatsoever, way too much unnecessary and distasteful fan service, randomly appearing characters that disappear before serving any kind of importance to the overall story, like, what the hell was Gohan Studios thinking? I seriously tried to look for some positives in this show before ultimately dropping this series harder than a dubstep chorus, but other than the kinda nice soundtrack and vivid color palette, it's hard to get past the extreme lens flares and other quote-unquote polishes that serves as nothing more than a good excuse to gouge our eyes out of our sockets. Like, even from the title, this anime sounds boring. And well, it certainly didn't upset us there in that negative aspect. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, that was the seasonal anime roundup of winter 2017. What did you guys think about it? Were there any shows you thought differently on? Any shows you think I should go back to watch? If so, then make sure to let me know all of that in the comments below. And hey, while you're at it, why not go and check out some of the better shows I covered in this video over on Crunchyroll. You can try out a free 30-day trial of Crunchyroll's premium membership by going over to crunchyroll.com/animeman. 1080p, ad-free, with all sorts of freshly brewed up anime straight from Japan. Sounds great, right? And even if your 30-day membership expires, you only have to pay $6.95 a month to continue on that premium membership, and it helps out the anime industry a lot. So go and give it a go and help a brother out. Anyways guys, thanks for watching